Whenever a fandom is going through a toxic period, whether it be hiatus or creator-induced, there's a frequent notion that goes around. Well, all fandoms are just as bad. Don't throw stones in glass houses. This, in my humblest onion, is false. There are a lot of fandoms that have a certain toxicity to them. There's no doubt at all. But to act like all these groups have the same degree of vitriolic discourse is patently false. Today, we'll be looking at the American fandom of Kiki's Delivery Service in the 2010s and the post-canon Homestuck fandom. Heads up, this is American-centric. I'm not an authority on Japanese media, and I encourage you to seek out more qualified voices if you want to look further into anime. Kiki's Delivery Service is a standalone film that illustrates the life of Kiki, a charming young witch that goes out into the world and tries her damnedest to survive without the safety net of her parents. She has a cat that talks, named Gigi, her companion and part-time moral compass. She delivers her packages while figuring out the person she wants to be. The movie has very little plot, but the vibes, immaculate. It stands out from most Western media because it doesn't follow a traditional narrative structure. And that's part of what makes it so compelling. But don't let the softness fool you. Kiki's story deals with burnout, creativity, and growing up in a world that often feels isolating, especially to adult creatives. And the film exists at a fixed point. There's no timeline mess. There's no retcons. It just is. That kind of stability shapes the fandom around it. Kiki's fandom has almost no discourse culture, outside of some debates about localization. And yeah, Disney did mess up Gigi's character. CJ the X has a great video on that. The fandom is basically benign. Kiki's Delivery Service is a masterclass in paying attention to the quiet, beautiful details in life. It doesn't really invite debate. It invites you to sit down with a cup of tea and reconsider your career path. And the fan labor reflects that energy. In the Kiki fandom, it's zines, mood boards, watercolored studies of Kiki flying across the sky. There's no urge to fix the story or reinterpret it. The story's already whole. You're just living in it. Homestuck is... man, fuck if I know. It's a sprawling webcomic with multiple timelines, interactive elements, and retcons. Can you shut the fuck up? Oh my god.
I'm trying to record.
It starts with 4 kids playing a video game, and it ends with metaphorical space gods and the collapse of the narrative structure itself. I adore it. It shaped my personality from teenhood, but I'm not covering the entire fandom across a decade. I'm focusing specifically on the post-canon content, the epilogues, Homestuck 2. Post-Homestuck is controversial, contentious even. One reason is the shift in creators. Andrew Hussie was mostly seen as the face of the original comic, but others contributed too. Toby Fox and James Roach, for example. The epilogues in Homestuck 2 were made by a team of writers and artists, not just Hussie, and not including him either, for the most part. And that change had ripple effects. I wrote a whole section about Kate Mitchell and the behind-the-scenes drama, but I scrapped it. Frankly, it's too much shit. TLDR, if you're harassing real people over fictional teens, you shouldn't be online. You should go touch grass. The state parks are lovely this time of year. Still, the amount of creators involved did affect the fandom. The comic shifted away from heavy plot and towards introspective character dynamics. Even if the writing was true to canon, that shift alone upset a lot of fans. Homestuck has an arguing ecosystem. And honestly, Vriska's kept the fandom alive during hiatuses. Vriska is a lightning rod. She represents everything messy about the comic. Canonicity issues, timeline chaos, morality debates. Especially morality debates. Differing timelines mean differing versions of characters, which means differing interpretations, which ultimately means no one is ever on the same page. Fan labor also looks different for Homestuck. It's full-on fan comics, massive alternate universes, full albums, and 40,000-word essays about whether Vriska was right. And both types of labor are valid. But one of these fandoms is more likely to spiral into arguments, simply because so much is open to interpretation. Fandom toxicity does not exist in a vacuum. It lives on platforms. Tumblr was Homestuck's breeding ground. Anonymity, snark, and long-form blogging turns debates into discourse loops. Kiki's fandom did not really have that. It had Pinterest boards, YouTube videos, and zines. Where we gather shapes how we behave. There's also a political weight difference. Kiki, unlike a lot of other political Ghibli films, is more light and whimsical. Homestuck, whether it's talking about gender, fate, revolution, trauma, it's a messy political story. And stories like Homestuck invite very heated responses. And then there's accessibility. You can join the Kiki fandom by watching a criminally short film. No prerequisite knowledge, no homework. Homestuck asks for so much. Days, maybe weeks of reading. Plus side content, wiki deep dives, emotional damage even. That barrier leads to gatekeeping. Older fans kind of look down on newer ones, which is common within fandom. Newer fans feel like they need to overcorrect with hyperliteracy, and that pressure breeds toxicity. Listen, I've been in both fandoms. The difference in energy is wild. Kiki gave me gentle inspiration to rest and reflect. Homestuck is the reason I started drawing. It taught me art, complexity, and the sheer emotional toll of watching your favorite characters die. I value both, but I can't pretend they shaped me the same way. I don't think the Kiki fandom or the Homestuck fandom is better than the other. Whenever I critique fandom, I get comments like, "Yeah, bro, I totally agree. Fans should be put in a mental asylum." I think that's incredibly bizarre. But I get so many of them, weirdly enough. Let me say this clearly. Saying all fandoms are equally toxic is a thought-terminating cliche. It excuses bad behavior, it erases context, and it prevents us from building better spaces. Not all fandoms are equally toxic, but, in my opinion, they are all equally passionate. Sometimes, that passion creates cozy mood boards. Other times, it means arguing about whether Vriska did anything wrong for 10 years. By the way, she did. She did totally do that shit, but she's still my meow meow. Anyways, bye!